Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
I'd like to make very welcome now to the program the Mayor of the Horowhenua, Bernie Wanden. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, John, and to your listeners.
Bernie, is this an issue? We've talked in general terms about the growth that's happening in the Horowhenua. The problem is that you've got to be able to cope with these people. You've got to accommodate them in terms of the infrastructure, the roads, the water, all that boring stuff that makes communities possible.
You're quite right. Look, our growth is happening much quicker than we had thought it was going to. So we're already at the end of this year at 35,000, which is about 1,800 more than they predicted we would be. They are thinking that by the year 2028 we will reach 40,000, where we originally thought that we were going to get there in 2038. So we're growing at over 2% a year, which is extraordinary, really. We're the fastest growing area in the bottom half of the North Island. We're also about number 3 in the country. So obviously the infrastructure with the roading and things like that has meant that people have suddenly found that we are very affordable. Our average house price is still under 400,000. So coming out of Wellington or even other parts of the country, we're seen as being good value. We've got great weather, of course, and lots of amenities for a small town our size.
Yes.
But as you say, it does present challenges, and we need to make sure that we're ahead of the game rather than playing catch-up all the time. So we've got to think about where we're going to build those houses, how our infrastructure is going to be connected and all that sort of carry on.
The trouble is that it's the existing ratepayers that have to pay for the infrastructure for the people coming in. And this, unless you're Auckland seem to be able to go to central government and say, pay for those roads, pay for this, pay for that, and sort of bully their way into getting more out of central government. But that's more difficult for provincial New Zealand, isn't it?
It is, and the reality is that debt is actually not a bad thing when it comes to paying for new infrastructure. We need to be able to spread the load across a good number of years so that it's not just this generation of ratepayers that is paying for that infrastructure, but it is going to be spread over a number of years. And I think people have a wrong idea of how good debt can actually be for the district. And I've always said that there's good and bad debt. I do believe that good debt is when you are paying for new infrastructure that allows for growth and other things like that, but it is obviously not for renewals and levels of service.
Sure.
And obviously we need to make sure that developers and those that are building are paying their fair share of that new development as well.
And of course the thing is that right now money is pretty cheap, isn't it?
Well, money is pretty cheap. You've just seen the government this week so that they're going to spend $12 billion on infrastructure. They're saying that it's okay to increase our debt as a country. So, we're thinking along the same sort of lines. And, while the figure itself may seem large, I think in real terms it is providing for our future, and we've got to make sure we do that properly.
Bernie, speaking about expansion and central government, there was discussion, and in fact we had an item on the news in the last couple of days about the immigrants, the refugees that are coming in to live in, and I'm sure that's going to really enrich the community. But let's face it, it's already hard to find homes in the Horowhenua. And there was discussion about getting certain central government agencies together with the aim of trying to get 90 new dwellings in the Horowhenua to be used for, social housing purposes. I'll put that in quotation marks, but you know what I'm talking about.
Look, there is a lot of work being going on behind the scenes in this space, and the Housing Action Plan that we've formulated along with a lot of different agencies is going a long way to being able for us to be able to talk to government about how we can provide some solutions for those issues. Look, we're very conscious of the need for social housing, and right across this country, we've seen a huge demand that the country cannot sustain at the moment, and so something drastically needs to be done. And I know that the social development services and all the other Kāinga Ora, the housing service, are looking at a lot of different ways that they can actually support communities in being able to provide some of that social housing. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen overnight, but I know we hope to be able to provide some good news in that space over the next 2 or 3 months that will alleviate a lot of the pressure that people are feeling at the moment. But we're very conscious of the need, and we're hoping that with partnerships between private developers and other social agencies, plus the government, will get a long way down to solving that problem.
And I think it has got to be solved, because I'll just go back to the refugees who are not too far away now. And if there's already a squeeze on housing, a squeeze on resources, there is the potential for some tension within the community and some resentment to be caused. And as we've seen in other parts of the world, it's too easy for unscrupulous politicians to whip this into a populist cause. And that's something that I assume you would want to avoid at all costs.
Oh, look, for sure. There's no use making political gain out of an issue like this. This is affecting people's lives and communities in a big way, and we don't want to see that happen at all. But I'm sure, though, that, I'm confident that the agencies that are involved for the refugees and others will ensure that there is an evenness across the community for a lot of these sorts of things. And Red Cross, the churches, council, any agency that is involved in bringing these people to town will make sure that there is fairness and equity right across the board. I'm very confident of that.
Well, you've got some nice appointments over the next few days. I see you're opening an electric vehicle charging station in Foxton on Monday.
Yes, we are. So we're looking forward to that, just adding to the network of electric vehicle chargers and making it easier for people to use them. It has taken a little while for this to be built, but we've finally got there, and hopefully early in the new year we've got the Shannon chargers as well being added to the network. The other big thing that we've been part of this weekend, of course, is the opening of the bridge over the Manawatu River and the trestle. Of course, it's not open for vehicles as yet, but this is the official opening and blessing, if you like, on Saturday.
Yeah, we're having a wee chat to Barry Rawlinson in about half an hour about that, actually. So I know they're really looking forward to that big opening there. If I can just go back to the electric vehicles, what's the Horowhenua District Council's view on zero carbon? Have you got a position yet or not?
No. Look, John, we're pretty much guided by central government in that space, and there is a heck of a lot of things going on with land use, the pressures that are putting on the agricultural and horticultural communities around that sort of thing. But officially, we haven't got a policy. Look, we're very conscious of it, obviously, and we want to make sure that we do our bit in that climate change space. And we are starting to ramp that up and have more focus in all the things that we do in the climate change area. But it's not something, again, that you can fix overnight or you've got to be conscious of the economic outfall of that as well.
And I assume you're involved in something called the Horowhenua Community Christmas Carnival as well.
Look, there's lots of things happening around the Christmas space. We've got the parade on Saturday. We've got the trees. There's the carnival after the parade on Saturday in the Domain. So, look, there's a huge amount happening in that community space this weekend. And
a great celebration. I think we've earned it, don't you? Let's just enjoy life for a change.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
It would.
Enough bad news this week.
Absolutely. It's been a horror, no doubt about that. I was just saying to the listeners that I've literally had nightmares and, I did not sleep very well. I'm just thinking about those people in White Island. And it just shows how vulnerable we are, how important it is for people like you and people like me to get out the messages about staying safe and taking precautions and looking after ourselves and those we love, because it really does come down to us, the individual, in the end, doesn't it?
You're quite right, John. Look, it is about making sure that we do look after ourselves, but also I think we're in a community that looks out for others as well, and I hope that continues over the next few weeks with the Christmas spirit and the holiday type of time of the year that, you know, we do think of others as well as making sure that we are looking after ourselves properly as well.
Amen to that. Bernie, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Bernie Wanden.
106.3 Beach FM.